Now at 10, Pitt State honors those lost during the 9/11 tragedy. Plus, a local gym hosts a challenge in honor of the first responders from 9/11. And the Pride Festival kicked off this weekend in Joplin.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
All over the 4 states and throughout the country, people remember and honor those who fell during the 9/11 attacks. This is your KOAM News at 10. I'm Jalen Banks. 21 Pitt State Army ROTC members remember 9/11 by firing a cannon for each plane involved at the northwest corner of Carney Smith Stadium. The young soldiers will also perform a push-up for every life lost 21 years ago.
As time moves on and we get more and more anniversaries, it makes it more important as a way to remember these lives, so we don't repeat history.
To find more events such as this one going on in the 4 states, you can go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. 24/7 Elite Gym and Baxter Springs Fire Auxiliary is hosting a stair climb challenge in honor of the first responders during 9/11. Every participant will climb 110 flights of stairs. Each flight represents a floor in the World Trade Centers that first responders had to climb. The challenge is to honor and endure a piece of what the first responders went through on 9/11 21 years ago.
Just kind of a way to memorialize what they did and a way to honor them. They did it in such terrible conditions. I mean, the fire was there, the heat, smoke, they couldn't see it. They were dragging people out, helping people, carrying people.
This is the 3rd year of the 9/11 Stair Challenge by Baxter Springs and 24/7 Elite Gym. Different tribes and families came together tonight in Wyandotte for a powwow. Some participants described it as a time of fellowship among friends and family. There was also a contest for who could wear the most authentic Native garment.
It's really just a gathering of friends and, old friends that you get to see and kind of get rid of all the bad things in your life just by dancing and listening to the drum. It's kind of like a church.
Right. To find more events in the 4 states, you can find them on our events page at KOAMnewsnow.com. The VFW of Fort Scott held a car and motorcycle show today for the public. The group encouraged those who served our country to come out and enjoy the show. Car enthusiasts also came out to judge the cars. This was their inaugural car and motorcycle show.
Just the prestige of having what you have, like that particular bike there. There's not another one around this part of the country, and it gives you a little bit of incentive on making more and participating better. So that's what it's all about.
The VFW says they intend to have this for years to come. This weekend was the Jomo Pride Festival. Today was the last day of the festival that promotes diversity and freeness. Some events included a talent show, bingo, live music, and everything was capped off with a dance party.
We took over the festival in 2018. It used to be just held exclusively at the park. Once we brought it to downtown, it expanded quite substantially. So every year we've been just trying to add a little bit more and make it a little bit bigger and better every year. Right now we're on track to, eclipse Springfield's Pride Fest, and we're almost on track to eclipse Tulsa's Pride Fest. So that's
Of everything going on in the 4 states today, it was a lot cooler. Hopefully that continues for us. Sam?
Well, unfortunately, it's not going to continue, but let's enjoy the last 24 hours that we've had. Radar is clear right now, but that was not the case last night. Over the last 36 hours, you can see our temperature trends. We were in the upper 80s, and then the cold front moved through, and we saw temperatures drop down into the 50s this morning, and this afternoon we topped out in the mid-70s. So a dramatic change from 24 hours ago. Right now, we're looking at a high of 77 in Joplin. We started out at 57, which was below normal for a change. However, this time of year, we can still get close to the century mark like we did back in 2000. We can also be down into the mid-40s this time of year as well. So we're definitely heading into that season change across our area. We only got about 8/800ths of a precip out at the airport. I'll be back in a minute to tell you how warm we're going to get in the coming days, so you want to stay tuned.
Today marks 21 years since the September 11th attacks, when hijacked planes crashed into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and a field in Pennsylvania. Mourners are again gathering at the scenes of those tragedies, marking the deadliest terror attack on U.S. soil and determined to never forget the fallen. Bradley Blackburn reports from Lower Manhattan.
The nation observed the 21st anniversary of the 9/11 attacks with the rituals that have grown familiar in the past 2 decades. Bells tolled in Lower Manhattan, and friends and family, some not yet born that day, read the names of the nearly 3,000 lives lost.
And my fighter Jimmy Riches, Uncle Jimmy, I'm so proud to be named after you. You are my hero. I wish I could have met you because you sound like so much fun when we talk about you.
Andrew Colabella, who lost his cousin in the 1993 Trade Center bombing, had a message for the politicians at the ceremony.
It took a tragedy to unite us. And I want to remind all of you there, it should not take another tragedy to unite our nation.
Today's gatherings have been scaled down compared to last year when large crowds turned out, especially here at the World Trade Center site, to mark 20 years since the tragedy. Vice President Kamala Harris represented the White House at the event in New York. First Lady Jill Biden took part in the remembrance at the Flight 93 Memorial near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And President Biden spoke at the Pentagon.
We raise monuments and memorials to the citizens whose blood sacrificed on these grounds and in Shanksville and Ground Zero, to keep touch of the memory, keep it bright for all the decades to come.
From each of the day's ceremonies came the renewed promise to never forget. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
People in the UK and around the world are continuing to remember Queen Elizabeth II. Britain's longest reigning monarch, who died last week at the age of 96, is being honored for the next several days as the monarchy ushers in a new era. Danya Backus reports from outside London.
Applause and tears greeted the hearse carrying the flag-draped coffin of Queen Elizabeth II.
She was a lovely lady, great mother.
As the nation continues to mourn her loss and honor her legacy.
I think it's just important to be here, just important to say goodbye.
It was a 6-hour journey from Balmoral Estate in Scotland Sunday to the Scottish capital of Edinburgh.
Queen's obviously been there for my whole life, so we just had to be here.
Mourners along the solemn procession are now preparing to usher in a new era, led by the Queen's son, King Charles III, who was officially recognized over the weekend as head of state.
God save the King!
The tribute to the Queen here at Windsor Castle has grown tremendously. The flowers outside the gate will be placed on the castle's lawn to greet the Queen in what will be her final resting place. Asiri Katenga met the Queen in 2016.
That was amazing. Something I treasure for life.
Just 2 days after the September 11 attacks, the Queen ensured the Star-Spangled Banner was played at Buckingham Palace during the changing of the guard. Years later, she visited the site to honor the victims.
I remember a message sent to the American people. Grief is the price we pay for love.
The White House says the president will attend Queen Elizabeth's official state funeral at Westminster Abbey in London next Monday. Danya Backus, CBS News, Windsor, England.
We now take time to honor one of our 4 state heroes. Staff Sergeant Dustin Arnold, a Sheldon, Missouri native, served in both Bosnia and Iraq. He was a part of Alpha Company A311. He also earned the Expert Marksman Medal. To Staff Sergeant Dustin Arnold, we thank you, our 4 state hero. And coming up, Prince Harry and Prince William come together after the loss of Queen Elizabeth. As the nation comes together to mourn the loss of the Queen, her grandsons, Prince William and Prince Harry, have also come together in a show of unity to honor her memory. Here's CBS's Charlie D'Agata.
Cheering crowds caught a glimpse of the new monarch waving as he left Buckingham Palace this afternoon, after a day spent finalizing the Queen's funeral plans. Fears that family divisions might mar her final farewell were alleviated after yesterday's show of unity. The royal princes and their wives in the surprise walkabout at Windsor Castle, where Kate shared how her youngest, Louis, had been consoling her. "My little Louis is just so sweet," she's overheard saying. He said, "Mummy, don't worry, because she is now with great-grandpa." That shoulder-to-shoulder united front marks a positive step forward for now, says Charles's former press secretary, Julian Payne.
About the fact it is a big international institution, but it is also a family. It's called the royal family for a reason, and that's why you see all of these dynamics at play.
Whatever the motivation behind that moment, for the public, it wasn't just a show of unity in grief for the Queen, but a show of support for the new king.
To see them come back together, I think it's fantastic for the nation. It makes us feel better.
It was amazing, really lovely. Families got to come together at this time of, when they've had such a traumatic experience and lost the Queen. It's they've got to be together, I think.
Bye everyone, thank you so much.
Coming together and sharing the burden of loss for the good of the family and a nation. Charlie D'Agata, CBS News, London.
Later, the Cardinals were on the road today against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Those highlights in sports.
We had a nice warm day across the area, much cooler than normal. I'll be back in a minute to tell you how long it's going to last right after this. Well, friends, it was much cooler today than it has been lately, and that was a good thing as we are getting ready for fall. But Mother Nature has been playing games with us a little bit with the temperatures from summer still hanging on across a large segment of the country. And we're going to get back to summer pretty soon, but let's enjoy this evening while we can. Nice evening down in Seneca, Missouri with the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Pretty pleasant evening, as well as across the entire four-state area. Radar is pretty much all clear. That was not the case yesterday and last night. We did have some rain across the area, but most of the rainfall was up to the north. We ended up with less than 1/10 of an inch out of Joplin Airport, a little bit more also over near Rolla and over there near Springfield down to Brownson. Hopefully we're going to get some more rainfall because the lakes are starting to suffer. Right now Grand Lake is about 1 foot below normal. Also Beaver Lake is about 1 foot below normal too. Table Rock is down to 3 feet below normal, and Stockton Lake is down to 4, almost 5 feet below normal. So we desperately need some rainfall to start filling up some of those lakes and helping out with the boaters. Let's take a look at the temperatures right now. They're generally in the 50s across the area, so a very pleasant evening. If you're heading out and about, you might even need a light jacket with 57 in Joplin, Chanute, Parsons all checking in with 57, 60 in Nowata, 56 over in Sedan for one of the cooler readings. Here in Joplin, we're 57. It feels like 57. The wind is calm. The dew point is 49. Kind of an indication of where we're headed tonight as far as the overnight low. And you're going to see that on the map here as we go through time. 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. temperatures in the mid 50s, lower 50s for the lows. Some areas could get into the upper 40s for lows. That'll feel pretty pleasant. Then tomorrow afternoon, highs in the mid 80s across the area, especially out towards the west. They could get close to 90 out there. And those 90s are going to be in the horizon in our forecast. As we go through Tuesday morning, you'll see lows once again in the mid 50s across the area, cooler up towards the north. Then on Tuesday afternoon, a weak boundary starts to drop in from the north, but it's really not going to do too much. Temperatures are still going to be in the upper 80s to right around 90 degrees, especially in southeast Kansas, a little bit cooler off towards the east. Then as we go through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, lows once again in the mid 60s with southerly winds across our area. The next 7 days, 84 tomorrow, 90 on Tuesday, and look at the 90s stretching all the way through the entire forecast. An isolated storm might be possible on Sunday afternoon, but don't get your hopes up. And take a look at this. Close to record levels by the time we enter into early next week. Hopefully that forecast will not verify, but that's the way it's looking right now. And if we take a look at the 90-day forecast, we're expecting hotter than normal conditions and also, unfortunately, drier than normal weather as well. So it looks like the drought, unfortunately, is going to continue, Jalen.
That is unfortunate for not only us, but I guess throughout the country.
Yeah, the La Nina pattern is holding on, and that means drier and warmer than normal for fall and maybe even into winter.
Well, like I said earlier, the 90s normally always mean a good thing. You know,
That's
in the 90s, you still had Michael
right.
Jackson.
Except in September for high temperatures, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, not at all. But all right, thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
Well, Danny joins us now, and it's safe to say it's been a wild weekend so far for the NFL.
Yeah, the Chiefs put on a show against the Cardinals. We'll have those highlights coming up. Plus, we'll hear from Oklahoma head coach Brent Venables on the Sooners' Week 2 win over Kent State. That and more next. We've been waiting and waiting some more, and finally, the Kansas City Chiefs kick off their season on the road this afternoon. Kansas City is at Arizona for their Week 1 matchup. Opening drive for the Chiefs, it's Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce from 9 yards out for the first touchdown of the season. Later in the first, Mahomes throws a shovel pass to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He walks it in for 6. Second quarter now, 4th and 2 for Kansas City. Edwards-Helaire wide open. 3 touchdowns on their first 3 possessions. Chiefs lead 20-7. They really start to pull away now. Mahomes finds Jody Fortson in the back of the end zone. And they just keep pouring it on. This time, McCole Hardman gets involved. 2-yard touchdown. Count them up, Mahomes throws 5 touchdown passes, and the Chiefs dominate the Cardinals 44-21. At the college level, Oklahoma takes care of business against Kent State on Saturday. The Sooners roll to victory 33-3, but it was a slow start for Oklahoma. They scored their first points of the game just seconds before halftime. Then they got going. Dylan Gabriel threw for 296 yards and 3 touchdowns in the game.
Proud of our guys for, again, coming out the second half and really playing complimentary football. Still, again, there's, especially on defense, a lot of things that we need to do better. But at the end of the day, that's the fewest points that we've allowed against an FBS opponent since 2017.
The Oklahoma State Cowboys improved to 2-0 this week following a 34-17 win over Arizona State. Head coach Mike Gundy says the Cowboys made some necessary adjustments this week, including in the run game. The Oklahoma State rushing attack was led by Dominic Richardson. He had 27 carries for 131 yards and a touchdown.
We were able to rush the ball effectively. We ran the ball for 4.3 a carry. 4.5 is what we're looking for, but much better rushing the football, and we're much more physical in the second half. Our running backs broke some tackles in key third downs and situations to keep us going, keep the drive alive. When 6, 8, 10 minutes to go in the game, could have stopped us a couple times, but our backs ran through and made plays.
The Week 3 college football rankings were released today, and there's a new #1 team in the nation. Georgia and Alabama switch places at the top of the poll. Oklahoma jumps up to number 6. Down a bit further in the rankings in 8th is the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Arkansas jumps up 6 spots and rounds out the top 10. And I have to shout out Kansas State just outside the top 25. The Wildcats get 77 votes. They're 2-0 following a 40-12 win over Missouri. In the MLB, St. Louis has a comfortable lead in the National League Central Division. With less than a month of regular season play remaining, the Cardinals are on the road today, closing out a series in Pittsburgh. Series tied at 1 game apiece. Cardinals struggling early against Mitch Keller. He gets Tommy Edman swinging, and then Corey Dickerson goes down on strikes. Skip to the 7th. Jack Sawinski goes deep for a solo home run. Pirates up 2-0. To the 9th, St. Louis trying to rally, and guess who delivers? Albert Pujols' 2-run shot for the lead. 697 career home runs. He passes Alex Rodriguez and moves into 4th place on the all-time list behind Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, and Babe Ruth. That's some pretty good company. Pujols seals the Cardinals' win 4-3, the final. Royals try to avoid getting swept at home today. Scoreless in the first, runners on the corners for Nick Pratto. He pops it up to left. Bobby Witt Jr. scores. Next inning, Drew Waters jams it in the corner for a bases-clearing double. Royals extend their lead now 3-0. They add more here in the 4th. Michael Massey cranks a solo shot to right. And the Kansas City defense pulling their weight today. Pratto makes the stop, scurries to the bag for the out, and the Royals blank the Tigers 4-0. That's it for sports. We'll be right back.
Unfortunately, the summer is coming to a close, but the box office will be ramping up. And now we take a look at this weekend's box office numbers.
As a child, my family was taken from me.
DC League of Super Pets fell to 5th place, taking in $2.8 million. Top Gun Maverick descended to number 4 with ticket sales of $3.2 million. $3.3 million put Bullet Train in 3rd place. Ramastra Part 1, Shiva, the first film in a trilogy launching India's first cinematic universe, opened in 2nd place, earning $4.4 million. The fright flick Barbarian, the only new movie opening in more than 2,000 theaters, easily took the weekend crown, grossing $10 million. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Well, Oscar season is just around the corner, so I know I'll be going to the movies a lot here in the future.
Yep. It's nice and cool in the theater.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be nice and warm outside tomorrow with temperatures in the 80s, 90s all next week, and that continues into early next week as well. We could even be flirting with some record temperatures around here early next week. Hopefully that's not true, but we'll have to wait and see on that.
I'll be enjoying the early morning lows because it's going to be ramping up once the day starts. Danny, what do we have?
Big road win for the Chiefs in Week 1. They beat the Arizona Cardinals 44-21.
Yeah, that Chiefs defense was pretty dominant today. Hopefully that continues into the season. Well, that's our time for now. Remember, we're always on at KOAMNewsNow.com and the KOAM News Now app. Thanks for making us part of your night. We'll see you here next weekend.